Welcome to Hockey Whiz Talks podcast. In this podcast, I'll be giving an update on the quarterfinals matchups in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. In this podcast, I will give an update on the first round playoff series in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. Eastern Conference matchups in the best of 7 series between the Washington Capitals and Montreal Canadiens. The Washington Capitals lead the series 2-0. Game 1 of the series was the Alex Ovechkin show, where he scored 2 goals, including the game-winning goal in overtime, to give the Capitals a 1-0 lead in the series. For Montreal, their top line remained hot, scoring both their goals. Washington extended their lead in the series to 2-0 after winning Game 2 3-1 thanks to a 2-point game from Connor McMichael. Montreal was completely shut down in the game, and Logan Thompson, who was the game's first star, made 25 saves. From what I see so far in this series, Washington has just flat out been the better team. Montreal struggles to get secondary scoring, and if that continues, this won't be a quick series. From a positive note though, Montreal has already overachieved this season's expectations by making the playoffs. In the best of 7 series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and Ottawa Senators, Toronto leads the series 3-0. Toronto, who is the more experienced playoff team, cruised to an easy victory in Game 1, crushing the Sens 6-2 thanks to a 3-point night by Mitch Marner, and John Tavares also chipped in 2 points. The Sens were much better in Game 2, but the game remained tied at 2 until Max Domi won the game in overtime to give Toronto a 2-0 lead in the series. The series shifted to Ottawa for Game 3, where the game once again went to overtime before an unlikely hero in Simone Benoit scored in overtime to put the Leafs up 3-0 in the series. Toronto's playoff experience and veteran presence proved to be the difference in the series so far. Although 2 of the games went to overtime, the Sens, as a young and relatively unexperienced playoff team, has cost them at times in this postseason at critical moments. Teams that are down 3-0 in a series hardly come back to win the series. However, if there were a team to blow a 3-0 lead, the Toronto Maple Leafs might be the best candidate for that. And now a word from our sponsor. Check out my scouting blog at HockeyWiz777scouting.com. Listen to my scouting blog podcast on podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/HockeyWiz777scouting. In the best of 7 series between the Tampa Bay Lightning and Florida Panthers, the Florida Panthers lead the series 2-0. Matthew Tkachuk returned to the lineup for the Florida Panthers, and his presence was immediately felt, contributing 3 points in Florida's 6-2 victory in Game 1. It never looked like Tampa could ever generate anything in Game 1, and Florida capitalized whenever they made a mistake. Tampa Bay played much better overall in Game 2, however they could not solve Sergei Bobrovsky, who made 19 saves for Florida in a 2-0 victory. This put Florida up 2-0 in the series. In the aftermath of Brandon Hagel's interference hit on Alexander Barkov, the effects of this act will be felt for the rest of the series. The intensity will inevitably pick up, and the main concern for most people is the health of Florida's captain Alexander Barkov, and whether or not he will miss any time due to injury. You have to believe that Hagel will be suspended. As the series shifts to Florida, it'll be interesting to see if Tampa Bay can claw back into the series. In the best of 7 series between the Carolina Hurricanes and New Jersey Devils, the Carolina Hurricanes lead the series 2-0. In Game 1, Carolina was all over New Jersey, outshooting them 45-24. Logan Stankoven scored 2 goals to lead them to a 4-1 victory. New Jersey took the lead in Game 2, but the Canes came storming back and scored 3 unanswered goals to defeat them 3-1. Jordan Martinook had a 2-point night to give the Canes a 2-0 lead in the series. The injuries keep piling up for New Jersey. Already without Jack Hughes and Jonas Siegenthaler, the Devils lost both Luke Hughes and Brendan Dillon in Game 1 due to injury. As the series shifts to New Jersey, the Devils have to hope that Carolina's road woes continue to haunt them, as the Canes have historically struggled playing away from Raleigh. New Jersey needs to take advantage of matchups and benefit from not having Heischer go against the stall line. Check out my hockey blog at hockeywiztalkshockey.blogspot.com. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at HockeyWiz777. Western Conference Playoff Matchups. In the best of 7 series between the Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues, the Winnipeg Jets lead the series 2-1. Winnipeg rallied to win Game 1 5-3 after scoring 3 straight goals in the third period. Kyle Connor scored the go-ahead goal for Winnipeg. On a positive note for St. Louis, they looked like they belonged in the series and gave the Jets a hard time. Game 2 of this series was a hard-fought slugfest, and the game was tied at 1 until Kyle Connor scored yet another game-winning goal to put the Jets up 2-1 in the game and put them up 2-0 in the series. Game 3 shifted to St. Louis, where the Blues were all over Winnipeg from the jump, and they routed Winnipeg 7-2 and chased Connor Hellebuyck from the game. Pavel Buchnevich scored his first playoff hat-trick and also picked up an assist. Cam Fowler had a goal and 4 assists for a 5-point outing, and Robert Thomas had a 4-assist game. What is apparent about this series is that the St. Louis Blues have picked up right where they left off at the end of the regular season. They are playing great, sound, fundamental hockey. The Winnipeg Jets had been playing great at home, but when the series shifted to St. Louis, they looked out of place, and Connor Hellebuyck was not his usual self. With the way St. Louis is playing, it would not be surprising to see them upset Winnipeg. In the best-of-7 series between the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild, the Minnesota Wild lead the series 2-1. Vegas defeated Minnesota 4-2 in Game 1 thanks to a dominant defensive effort and a 2-point effort from Thomas Hertl. Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy had 2 points apiece in the Wild's loss. Minnesota looked like a completely different team in Game 2 and routed the Golden Knights 5-2. Kirill Kaprizov had 2 goals and an assist, while Philip Gustafsson made 30 saves in the victory. The series shifted to Minnesota for Game 3, where the Wild looked completely dominant and blitzed the Golden Knights 5-2 again. Kirill Kaprizov had another 2-goal game, and Philip Gustafsson had another 30-save performance for a second win in a row. The Golden Knights had owned the Wild during the regular season. However, this was when Minnesota was playing a C squad and didn't have Kaprizov nor Eriksson Ek in the lineup. This Minnesota team looks refreshed, focused, and for the first time all season long healthy. For Vegas, they will need to have better goaltending from Adin Hill, and they will need their role players to step up if their core players aren't being neutralized. In the best-of-7 series between the Dallas Stars and Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars lead the series 2-1. Colorado looked completely dominant in Game 1 as Nathan MacKinnon had 2 goals and an assist to lead Colorado to a 5-1 victory. Game 2 was back and forth with the 2 teams trading goals. The game remained tied at 3 until an unlikely hero in Colin Blackwell scored the OT game winner to tie the series at 1. The series shifted to Colorado for Game 3, where the Avs welcomed back their captain Gabriel Landeskog to the lineup. In a tightly contested battle, the game was tied at 1 until Tyler Seguin scored the game-winning goal in overtime. This put Dallas up 2-1 in the series. This series has not disappointed at all and is probably the most evenly matched series of all first-round series. 2 games have already taken overtime to be decided, and there are still many games to be played. As the series progresses, I expect the intensity to pick up, and I would be really shocked if the series doesn't go 7 games. Listen to Hockey Wiz Talks podcast on Podbean and Spotify. In the best-of-7 series between the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers, the LA Kings lead the series 2-0. LA has completely dominated Edmonton in the first 2 games of this series, but this is actually nothing new in a series between these 2 teams. The finish to Game 1 was wild. The Kings were up 4-1 heading into the 3rd period before the Oilers scored to make the game 4-2. Then Kevin Fiala scored on the power play to make it 5-2. This was when the Connor McDavid show began, and he would account for the Oilers' next 3 goals to tie the game up at 5. Unfortunately, with just 42 seconds left in the 3rd period, Philip Deneau scored the game-winning goal to make it a 6-5 game for LA. LA was in complete control of Game 2 from start to finish. Anze Kopitar and Adrian Kempe both have 4 points apiece, and the Kings' power play, which had been lethal in this series, went 3 for 5 in the game. As the series shifts to Edmonton, you have to think that Edmonton will be much more comfortable playing on their home ice, where they will be able to dictate the line matchups, and this is very important for a team like LA, which depends on line matching. Historically, LA has had the advantage in games 1 through 3, but in games 4 through 7, Edmonton has a significant advantage and has been able to completely turn the tides. Could this be a repeat of previous series, or will Edmonton's woes prove to be too much? The great thing about the Stanley Cup Playoffs is that it's very unpredictable, and you never know how the rest of the series will play out until it does. This is what makes playoff hockey different than anything else. In my next podcast, I'll be doing a preview of the semifinals.